All right, we're live for another live Keeping It Real. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Jeff Manson. I'm a Hawaii real estate broker and founder of Real Geeks. The topic today on Keeping It Real is how to generate more business from your database. And I've got two experts on database marketing here. My co-host, Frank Klesitz, he runs Vyral Marketing, and that's what they do is they help real estate agents get more business doing video marketing to their database. And we got Craig Harrelson out of Myrtle Beach. He's a Myrtle Beach real estate broker and in South Carolina and North Carolina, right?
Well, just South Carolina, a few offices in South Carolina.
Okay. And he's a longtime friend. He's a longtime client, and he's an expert at working databases. And he does about, I think, around 3,000 homes a year with his team, or his brokerage team / whatever you want to call it. But it's more like a team because he's in there coaching them every day. But yeah, so we're going to go through and try and help you all how to get more business from your database in many different ways, just besides just sending out emails, okay? One thing I would like to jump into with Greg right away is, I know people are thinking, well, what if I don't have a database or my database isn't very big? I know that you and your team are constantly working on growing your database. How do you go about growing your database every day and making it bigger?
If somebody doesn't have a database, that's by choice. That's not by, there's no reason why anybody wouldn't have a database unless they have not been working on building one. So, just understand it's easy to have a database. So, I mean, in the beginning, when we didn't have a database, what we did is we were prospecting. And, we would have a sale. We would circle prospect around a just sold. And then through the process of letting people know about a sold that just took place, the one that we just sold, we would ask them if they would like to be informed, on what's going on in the market, especially in their particular neighborhood. And we would then acquire their email address. Of course, if we were calling them, we already had their phone number. So we were capturing their email address at that time based on their permission. And then we were putting them in our database.
Sure. Okay.
You know what I mean? So now if somebody has no database today, they could make calls and they could be building their database tomorrow. But then they also got to look at it. Like people forget, like anybody can go in your database, and that doesn't mean fill your database full of just names. It means like every mortgage person that you've ever talked to should be in your database. Every attorney that you've ever did business with should be in your database because, see, I call mortgage people and attorneys, I call them influencers for the most part. They can actually influence transactions. They're involved in transactions. So putting them in my database and informing them as if they're a property owner, giving them valuable information a couple times a month, it makes me look as an authority in real estate in their eyes. And if I can get an influencer to look at me as an authority, then I'm going to get referrals. So everybody's got a database. Just actually, if you got a cell phone, you got a database. You just may not have it organized.
Sure. And then you said even if you don't have one or you want to build it, so every day. And I've been to Greg's office. You should go watch the hangout that we did on location in Myrtle Beach. It's amazing. It's a 3-hour episode, but we're there with many of his team members, watching them prospect, interviewing them, finding out what they do. And I know by talking with them and everybody you all come in contact, whether it's a past client or someone they personally know, you're trying to get them put in your database and bring value to them, correct?
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
And you're also, so what are you saying, or what are they saying to get them to give permission to put them in the database? So like, give us an example of like what, when they're talking with someone and they don't know anyone looking to buy or sell or what have you, the listing.
Yeah. So let's just assume that I asked you, I was calling you and, and I was, said, hey, Jeff, and, let you know about a sale that took place. Sure. And you convinced me that you're not selling. Okay. Which is going to be very common. then, I may, before I get off the phone, I would just say something like this, Jeff, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about, the market and your neighborhood. You may not be aware, but a couple of your neighbors have requested that I keep them informed as to what's going on in the XYZ community. And as you know, especially now, the slightest little shift in the economy can have a major impact on your property's value. What's the best email for you that I can make sure that you're getting the same information? So just using a script like that at the end of every single call will dramatically increase the number of emails that you acquire during any generation session. And I'm telling you, you'll get 5 times more of the emails than if you just say, hey, what's your email? I'd like to send you some information. No, that's not going to work.
So the key that I'm hearing there, you do 2 things. You say, hey, neighbors just like you have requested us to keep them updated. So we're letting them know people just like them have requested that. And then you're also letting them know that you can keep them up to date on their property value and what's going on, because everybody wants to know what's going on with their real estate investment, whether it's an investment or not. They want to know what's going on with the value of their real estate, kind of like their stock portfolio, correct?
Yeah, and I think what's more important about that script, more important than everyone wants to know about what's going on, is nobody wants to be left out. So when I use the script that your neighbors have requested, then that's basically saying you're being left out and they're requesting from me, which also sounds like, hey, I'm an authority, because they're not going to request anything from somebody that's not an authority. So it's, I'm an authority, it's, you've been left out, but we can correct this situation right here by you giving me an email. So that's the psychology behind that script.
So it's the same thing, kind of like I preach, and I might have even got this script or a variation of this script that we tell the Real Geeks customers to do, to all their people that they know, start calling them. And I'm going to go through that script because for the Real Geeks customers or all our viewers, they should be doing something similar to this. Like, hey, Greg, this is Jeff with American Dream Realty. I'm giving you a call today. I've got a lot of friends just like you that have asked me to keep them updated on their real estate investments. I can go ahead and keep you updated as well. I can go ahead and set you up on my website on a sold search, and it'll send you sold properties right there in your neighborhood as they happen. It will also send you a monthly market report. Is that something you'd be interested in as well? So we try to tell our customers of, Real Geeks customers, that they should be doing this just like you and all our other top agents. They're doing this, and they're getting a lot more repeat and referral business. And one thing that the Real Geeks, because Real Geeks does a lot, I want to make sure, because we have a lot of our audience is our Real Geeks customers, they need to know that when they put someone on a sold search, our system automatically saves them a market report save search with the same criteria, and we'll send them that monthly email with a link that says, hey, here's your monthly market report. That person will click on that. It will take them back to their Real Geeks website, and it'll land them on a one-line style CMA landing page with all the actives and averages, all the under contracts and averages, all the solds and averages. But what's even more important about that, because we don't want them just going there and consuming that data, and we want them to engage. So right below that, we have the property search, so they can do a property search of anything, so they can start seeing what else is available, what else is sold. And we also have the home valuation widget. Says get your instant home valuation. So that way, if they punch in their address and they're like, oh, I wonder what my home will sell for, they punch that in, it will give them an automated report. Won't ask them to log in because they're already logged in, signed in, cookied in. But the agent, whoever's assigned to that lead, will get a notification they just did that, and that's an amazing trigger. So I know you've all heard me say that a million times, but I just got to keep preaching that, because I think that's just 101.
Yeah, and let me expand on that. So, I would say everyone that's listening to this, if assuming you're a Real Geeks user, if you're not a Real Geeks user, I'd recommend you become one. For all of those that email me and ask me, do I recommend Real Geeks? If you could just hear me all at one time, absolutely. All right, because I get an email multiple times a week, asking me that. So one of the things, though, is I think that everybody should set a goal. Like, go into your Real Geeks database and see how many sellers, how many property owners do you have set up where they're getting that sold report or marketing activity report on a monthly basis or bi-weekly basis, however you have it set up. See how many you have. Take an account, take an account of how many you have today. And let's just say some people have none, some people will have 100. I will let you know that I've got agents that have 3,000. Okay, and so the key is what they've done is when they're generating, you know, some people like, I don't want to prospect, you know, no one actually, you know, no one's going to list with me over the phone. And say, well, maybe stop prospecting to try to get a listing. How about prospecting to start giving yourself exposure? Prospecting is another form of marketing. You can get all kinds of exposure. You acquire these email addresses. You put them into Real Geeks. Set a goal to get 1,000 people by the end of the year saved in the saved sold search within Real Geeks. And then every single month, watch the live feed when Real Geeks sends out the activity report. Watch the live feed. You'll be shocked at how many people are actually opening up those activity reports. Now that's where you can then determine whether or not you want that notification or that activity to trigger a phone call. Maybe that's a good time to call them. Or maybe you just monitor it and you start looking in your database and you figure out, hey, this group of people in my database seem to have watched this activity report for the last 3 months. They're always open it. Then that's the person you should call. And it's not like a sales call. It's a, hey, I just wanted to catch up with you to see if you're still getting my reports. You know they're getting your reports. But the rapport that you're going to have with them, if they're thinking about selling, they're going to tell you. And if they're not thinking about selling, this is a great candidate to potentially give you referrals. So you got to work the system. It's not because the database. I mean, look, Frank, who's obviously on this call. I mean, Frank, we know that building a database isn't significant. Anybody can build a database. That's building a database and monetizing a database is two different things.
Well, let me show a slide from Gary Keller's family reunion event that he recently showed of why some of the agents don't succeed. I think I posted this on Facebook, Greg.
I saw this.
This was shown to everyone there. It just kind of shows you that the size of the database is actually very small, relatively speaking. And a good database, maybe your mortgage, your lenders, your attorneys, basically people you've met that have given you permission to stay in touch and receive your stuff. That's the big measurement, right, Greg?
Yes.
And take a look at these numbers, man. You know, you could do 200 to 2 million with 1,800 solid people in your database you touch 26 times a year. And
I believe that. I believe those numbers.
I thought that was very, very interesting. And one more thing, I'll pull another slide here. They also showed the rule of 5 that most agents get their business from only about 5 sources. And the number one source is past client centers influence database with lots of profit. That helps kind of hedge the risk when you start, spending a little money on the lead gen, where you have the other pillars are more consistent. So those are some cool slides that I'd share.
Yeah, and Greg said something really important about that. It's not just you're marketing to your database, and when you're marketing to your database, you're becoming the real estate authority to them, and they're going to rely on your website, your tools, and all that. And it's going to naturally increase the number of referrals you're going to get because you're touching on them, and they now see you as the real estate expert. And when somebody's thinking about buying or selling, they're more than likely to refer you, especially if you're staying in touch with them and calling them on a regular basis.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like to add in there, there's something that Greg said I think everyone can walk away with is, we're all spending so much time trying to get people on the phone. I mean, how much money and time and emotional energy and therapy in many respects you have to go through to get talking to people, right? Lots of energy. And to not ask permission to stay in touch with some type of secondary offer to offer them subscription to your newsletter is really such a missed opportunity. I mean, if you're speaking with, let's say, 30, 40, 50 people a week, I think it's very reasonable that at least a third of those people would say, yeah, sure, here's my email address. Put me on your subscription list. I mean, that compounds with 10, 20 people a week, every week, forever adding to your database. It grows.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. and I think that's what really influences you. Like if you want to get an accurate return on your time and you want to increase the return on your time, I call it the ROT, then you need to leverage every tool that you have within that one conversation. So, most people, let's say that you're a heavy prospector and you're calling just solds. expireds or FSBAs, whoever you're calling. And your mindset is, I'm going to make a call, and it's either going to be a yes or a no. Okay, so then you're investing a certain amount of time and energy, and there's only one thing that you can do that's going to give you a return, and that's get a listing. Okay, so but what happens when you don't get that listing or you get a no? Then that means that's a complete loss. Well, I call it monetizing the no's. I'm already on the call. All I got to do is add that one extra sentence or two to get their email address. Now I got their email address. I put it into Real Geeks, or I put it into the the viral blog that I have. And next thing you know, now just because I spent that extra 5 seconds to get the email address, now I'm going to be leveraging that email address for the next year or two without really putting any more effort into it. The effort of making the call and getting the no, I've already invested that time and that energy. And now that I get off the phone, instead of that being the only way that I have an opportunity to make money on that call, now I've given myself another chance to make money, and that is through dripping on them over periods of time. And so with scale, like there's plenty of business that, agents in my office, I've got agents that'll do 25, 30 deals a year from come list me calls from their database. But are they really come list me calls? No, they were really prospecting calls that we further leveraged by putting them in a database, and then we used our technology to nurture those databases, and then they actually came back to me. That income can be attributed to the initial call that I made. I just used technology to help me incubate them.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about what you send them, Greg. There's lots of things you can send through the Real Geeks platform.
Yeah.
You have some texts, some messages that you've written. Obviously, with Vyral, you can send them videos to connect with them. Let's talk about your ideal mix of, now that you've built this database. What's the ideal frequency, touch pattern? What do you send them? What do you recommend as the touch plan?
Yeah, so, and I'm going to use multiple channels to touch them. So Real Geeks will just be one channel, right? And so with Real Geeks, depending on the conversation, I may tell my agent to either put them or depending on the activity in a community. Let's just say that they're in a community that like every week there's a new sale. Well, then I got to be careful by setting, if they have no interest in selling, and they're just somebody I want to deliver a message to and deliver value to, and knowing that over time I will win them over. And I know that in their community there's a sale every week, then I might not put them on a sold search for a neighborhood and then have every single sale every week send them an email, because I'd be bombarding them and they're going to unsubscribe. Now, if that person told me I'm really thinking about selling and maybe they're just not ready to do something, I may put them into Real Geeks sold search, and I want every single time that there's a sale, every single week, I want them to get an email. So in that case, I may give them 4 emails a week just from Real Geeks, plus the market activity report, which would be 5 emails. But I could only do that if I know somebody is actually really thinking about doing something. Now, so there's 2 things. Number 1, it's their motivation. And number 2, the absorption rate, or the activity, the number of sales that are taking place in a community. So if somebody says to me, well, I don't have any interest in selling, and there's only a few sales every month in the community, then I may set them up on once every 2 weeks to get a sold report and once every month to get an activity report. Or I may go in and say, well, no, every month, just do the activity report. Again, it depends on how many emails that I know is going to be triggered based on the activity in a community. So you have to throttle it and use some thought, put some thought behind it. That's the main thing that we're using Real Geeks for, is the activity reports and the sales reports, or the sold notifications.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've got Vyral, then I've got Infusionsoft. All of these have got different ways of touching them. So we're using multiple channels. Or I may then export my sold leads, or my maybe my whole Real Geeks database. I may export that, or and then export my Vyral database, and then upload that to Facebook and do a Facebook boosted post to that custom audience, which is and I may do a video on how, you know, a market update. So one day they show up on, they see me on social media, giving them there's a video on me talking about the market, and then they recognize, oh, that's the guy that I keep getting those activity reports. Oh, wow, I got a great newsletter from that guy. So you got to use multiple channels to touch them. That's where they start to really see us as an authority.
Mm-hmm.
If they're only using a single channel, they see you as a marketer.
Hey, Greg, you know, now that we're diving a little bit deeper, before we go in even deeper, can you explain the importance of tagging and segmenting your database? Because now you're starting to talk how you can go deeper and market these with different avenues. And I know you're the master of segmenting your database with many different things. So maybe you can go over the importance of it and then give them some ideas how you segment your database so you can then later go in and work it, you know, through Facebook marketing to home val tools or segmenting through your Infusionsoft and triggering stuff. So just start at the reason why it's important and then give some examples how you do that.
Okay. Yeah. So I think the why has become very clear to me, and I think I can describe it in a very simple way, and that is a database that is not tagged. The only way that you can send messages to them, the content has to be one size fits all. If there's no tags, then you have then that means that requires a more generic approach to a content. Okay, so it's always one size fits all. Well, nobody wants to receive generic content anymore because we're getting bombarded by so much content. Then we're only tuning in or paying attention to the content that seems to be relevant to us. One size fits all in today's world is lacking relevance. So a tagged database allows us to give the experience. So we can deliver content, and the experience of our content is, wow, he's talking to me. Instead of he's talking to us, he's talking to the world. This guy, this agent gets me. He understands me. I don't know how this guy knows so much about me. He's talking to me. So I'm actually custom tailoring the content to you. There's a big difference. So when I get the engagement rate, the relevance of my content going, because it's custom based on a tag, is going to be well received compared to one size fits all, where people think it's just an e-blast. That's the importance of tagging. Without tagging, you can't customize the content to the audience.
So what do you tag? So what kind of things do you tag? Neighborhoods?
Yeah. So neighborhoods is a big one. Neighborhoods is a big one because, and here's why it's a big one. And there are so many significant tags that we could apply, but the neighborhood is where their home is. So when we start talking about their neighborhood, they tend to pay attention. Like we could tag the city, we could tag the zip code. But you know, if I said, you know, properties in 29579 zip code are blank, that's going to sound different than if I say properties in the Grand Dunes are blank. If you own in the Grand Dunes, even though it's part of 2979, you're going to pay more attention to the content that said the Grand Dunes than you're going to say that said the zip code. So,
right. So you would probably
critical.
So you would probably tag city, zip code, and neighborhood, all three.
Yeah, we would
for different types of marketing.
Yeah, we would tag all of that, and then you know, and of course you want to tag property owner versus buyer. I mean, that's seller versus buyer. Those are very important.
Sure.
But then, as you know, depending on the application or the channel the database that I have them in, then I might also tag them based on the content that they're reading. So if I'm sending a video, and the video is on how to maximize a sales price when selling a property in Myrtle Beach, then I might tag them as a potential seller, just because they watched the video that had that title. Versus if they watched a video on how to maximize their return off of investment properties, then I might tag that person a buyer, and then I'd add a sub tag on the video title that they actually watched. So one day, if I had an investor property listed, I could go back into my database and I could actually export all the people that are tagged, either that video or an investor, and I could start marketing the property to them. Excuse me. Excuse me.
No, this is great. That's why I wanted you to explain all this, because they're like, oh, tags. Well, why do I use tags, or what's the purpose? So
Yeah.
putting in the work up front, a little bit extra work, and trying to tag with them as many different possibilities. Later on, you have a database. When you have different opportunities or different market reasons to market, you can then pull those and export those, or just filter them and do something within either Real Geeks or Infusionsoft, or send them a video through the Vyral blog or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. Can I share a campaign that I did that'll be very simple, but it might really illustrate this?
Of course.
Okay, so I've got we tag everybody by, let's say, community name or building name if they're a condo. Okay, and then every single Monday, what ends up happening, I have a staff member that goes every Monday. They go and look at all the closed sales that we had for the previous 7 days, Monday to Monday or Monday to past Sunday. Okay, so let's just assume that we had, I don't know, but 20 sales, 30 sales, whatever we had. Okay, well, then she takes that list, sends a just sold. Now this is all built out of Infusionsoft. That's not really significant. I'm not trying to convince people to use that, but it is where I built it out, where she then goes into Infusionsoft and sends a just sold email that I've already created one time, and then she hits a button and sends it to all of those. Let's just say it was 20 properties we just sold. She then sends that email to 20 different databases, and then each one of those emails has a merge field, so it actually brings in the name of the community. We just sold another home in the Grand Dunes, and it actually sends that email to all 20 communities and makes sure that the property email is going out to each community, and it's branded all of my real estate agents that have a contact in that community. So when the email goes out to all these property owners, it actually says, hey, we just sold another property in the Grand Dunes. And now all of a sudden we're getting people email us back, hey, can you give us additional information? We're thinking about selling. But so instead of sending a just sold e-blast to thousands of people, we're only sending that email to the property or to the community that we sold that property in the last week. It's very relevant. It's only going to the people who live in that particular community. And we have made thousands and thousands of dollars off of that little simple email that couldn't be done if it wasn't tagged properly.
But you had to have the emails of those homeowners, which you got by circle prospecting and calling them and asking permission to stay in touch and tagging them.
We did have to work to build that database. Yes, Frank. Yes, but you know what? You're right. But you know, and unfortunately, especially in today's market, a lot of people don't want to put in that work. You know, and I can just say that the people that do put that work in, that put the effort in and do that work, those are the agents that are building wealth. And it's easy to make money, very easy to make money, but it takes hard work to build wealth. And so, you know, we put the extra time in to do this the right way because we're wealth builders. We're not just trying to make a good income this year. Now, the great thing is when we're in pursuit of building wealth and we're accomplishing that, we're also making money along the way. But just because you're making money, you don't always make wealth along the way. So it's worth the time to put in.
You're building a huge foundation for the future.
Yeah. So let's talk a little more about, if it's okay, about some of the messages that you send out. So I want everyone to be very clear about this. Anyone who's interested, anyone who owns a home, Jeff, they can put them on the property updates of home values through Real Geeks.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who's interested in buying a home, there's property updates. We can put them on through Real Geeks. Right?
Yes.
You could find much interesting kind of messages that kind of go out there, little short text-based emails that kind of look like you're coming from you to kind of get some responses from people to start some conversations. Let's talk a little more about that, Greg. And then I'd also like to get a little bit into some of the video stuff that Vyral does and how that can help build some relationships.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, you built this database. They're getting the Real Geek stuff. Great.
Yeah.
But how do you kind of spark some conversations? You see they're opening it, you see they're engaging, but what are some messages, some simple maybe text-based messages, not necessarily text messages, but simple text-only messages?
Yeah.
You could send out
Versus like a video.
Correct. Versus the video that spark responses of email replies.
Yeah. So first of all, I don't know that I've really put a lot of thought of how can I spark email replies. I don't know that I've really, that was a one of the intentions that I have when I build content. What I'm wanting to spark is I'm hoping, and I'm always probably going to have to work and try to accomplish this. But what I'm hoping is that the person is smarter when they get done reading my email. I'm hoping that the person is more informed and better informed when they get my email. I hope they're more equipped to make good financial decisions in respect to real estate when they get my email. And those are the types of tests, and those are the things that I'm thinking about when I'm building content. I'm not really thinking, because I think when I'm thinking about them getting, that's when I spark the email responses for them. When I'm thinking about getting responses, then I could put a small little email out there and say, hey, if you put a thought to selling your property for $500,000 more than it's really worth, could you please text me and say yes? I can get the responses, but the key is what I'm giving, not what I'm getting. And I think when we focus on what we're giving, and the test as to whether you're giving or not, or the way that you make sure that you're giving is you make sure that you're leaving them, you're asking them to spend 60 seconds of their life. You know how important 60 seconds of somebody's life is these days? I mean, just open up your computer and watch it load, and it takes an extra 5 seconds to load a page, and see how pissed off you are. Okay, so we care so much about every freaking second, and I'm getting ready to ask somebody to spend 2 minutes of their life reading my content. I better make a difference, or else they're never going to read it again. And that over time is what gets the spark. Now, I guess, Frank, I could go in a little bit more and say, okay, well, what kind of information do I feel like will make a difference? I think you have to be willing to share with people where the market is. I think you have to go beyond just giving them, hey, there's 15 properties that have sold in the last 30 days in the neighborhood. The average price is this, and the days on the market is this. I mean, that's fine. They can go to the Zillow for that. Information is not necessarily the valuable content that we need to deliver. It's the interpretation of the information that's more valuable today than ever. Like stating these are the facts, like every other website is stating, is fine as long as you include some of the things that we're looking at, or some of the things that we're concerned about, some of the things that we speculate. And I'm very clear that, hey, I'm not telling you, I have no crystal ball, but based on this, in the past, when I've seen things like this occur, these are the things that we were concerned about. So now I'm not only giving them facts, I'm interpreting those facts and sparking thought, and said, if you're thinking about selling, let's just assume for a minute we thought the real estate market might be declining in the next year, or the next 2 years. Well, does that really matter to somebody who's not going to sell for the next 10 years? Does it matter?
Not at all.
Let's not sit there and say, oh, the market's going down, you need to sell. Well, maybe you don't need to sell, because if you're not wanting to sell, then by the time you do decide to sell, the market won't be at the same place that it is right now. So I got to be careful that when I give them the facts, that I don't say that this is why you need to do something. I could say, here's the facts. Now, if somebody was in a position of thinking of selling within the next 2 years, they may want to consider this. If you're a long-term hold, and you're probably going to live in the home for the next 5 to 10 years, the small little blip that we're seeing right now may be insignificant to you. That's the kind of content that I'm sharing.
I'm going to post a link here in the chat for everyone.
Hey, Greg, just real quick, why it's on my mind. I know with the whole segments and everything, with the Facebook marketing tool that Real Geeks offers,
yes,
it's now included in the platform. If you sign up after a certain date, it's all included now. that and the home value tool. But I know you guys are just crushing it.
Yes.
Because you're segmenting the neighborhoods.
Yes.
Can you explain some of the things that you're doing and like the cost per lead you're getting of people actually doing these home valuation full registration? That's crazy what you guys are doing and how you're doing it.
Yeah, well, first of all, again, let's back up for a minute. We put all these people into Real Geeks. We've segmented them by neighborhood, and then we've got Real Geeks dripping on them, right? Okay, but then I can export out of Real Geeks, and I can export out of Real Geeks, or I have them in my database, you know, and export certain neighborhoods. Then I can then go to the Real Geeks Facebook posting tool, and then I can post a home valuation tool, the home valuation widget. I can post that, but make sure that I'm only sending that to the custom audience of that particular neighborhood. I always use Grand as an example. Okay,
Sure.
fine. Everyone thinks, okay, well, yeah, that's pretty simple, pretty basic. Yeah, but here's the trick. So in the post, in the dialogue, in the printed part of the post, not the link, it'll say something like this: attention Grand Dunes property owners. Another sale has just occurred in the community that may have impacted the value of your property. Find out what your property is worth now. My click-through ratio is going to be through the roof versus if I use any home valuation tool widget on Facebook and I just say, find out what your home is worth, right? So first of all, I'm mentioning Grand Dunes in the post, and the only people that are going to see that post are documented property owners in the Grand Dunes, because I know that I've segmented my database in that fashion. So because of that, my cost for a full sign up on a seller lead, I don't know, I think it's $1.50, $1.16 or $1.60. I can't remember what it was. I've told you before, I haven't looked at it in a while.
It's really low.
Yeah, I just did one in the Columbia market, and it was 83 cents. I got 12 leads in 2 days at 83 cents, which was $4.15.
And one of the keys here too is not only is he's targeting that specific database, segmented database, and only showing that ad to them, mentioning it within the ad, but he's also, because of the home valuation tool of Real Geeks, you can make as many different landing pages and control the text and the image on those. So you're also landing it to a page that says, hey, get instant Grand Dunes home valuation or whatever it is, and it's a picture of that community. So therefore they feel like, oh wow, it's all consistent, correct?
Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, because we've segmented so well, we took the extra step and created community pages for those communities. And so then when we're actually, not only are we taking a custom audience that's only documented Grand Dunes owners, not only are we putting in a Facebook post that says attention Grand Dunes owners, but the Facebook page itself is a Grand Dunes property owners page.
Oh, okay, that you're posting it from. So the actual Facebook page
itself is a Grand Dunes property owners page, and we're doing all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So from our tool, you can have as many. You can pick on our tool whatever Facebook page you connect. So he connects the Facebook Grand Dunes page when he's making the post, so it actually says that on the Facebook post too, that it's the Facebook, the Grand. I mean, it's really good stuff.
A lot of
That's
people.
Pretty savage. That's amazing. How many pages do you have, Greg?
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say that, Jeff. Like, do you remember one time you were on my Fusionsoft account? I mean, not Jeff Frank, and you were like, "Holy crap! Look how many tags this guy has."
Hundreds and hundreds of tags.
Shoot, there's thousands actually. If you were to go in my Real Geeks account and see how many pages we have. And Jeff might cancel my damn account. I don't know how much damn space I'm taking up on your servers.
As many pages as you want. I mean, all that stuff.
I bet you, Frank, there's hundreds of pages. And the key is once we put those export and import those databases into our widget, then it saves them as named custom audiences. So we don't have to do the exporting all the time. Right? We just
it's already in your Facebook account saved audience. So when you're using the tool,
so we
pulls
have
that list in.
Databases in there.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. So for all those people that say the Facebook marketing doesn't work, it's just because you're doing too generic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
This is good. Right. So I love the idea behind your content, Greg, of your marketing should be so good people would be willing to pay for it. That's what I hear you saying.
Yeah, I mean, I had somebody, Frank, I've had a few people tell me this. I've had somebody tell me that, call me up and tell me they're never going to sell. But they told their wife that if they were to die, I'm the realtor that she needs to go to.
That's called wealth.
That's how you build wealth.
Mm-hmm. Good. So we talked about the Real Geek strips. We talked a little bit about kind of your philosophy behind content. You're big into using video to connect with people. You know, you can just write it in text, but you think video is a good idea. Let me kind of give somebody an example of a video blog. This is kind of our expertise here at Vyral, to show a quick example real quick. But, you know, you can create like the Myrtle Beach Real Estate Journal, brought to you by Century 21 Harrelson experts. And this is kind of the mobile version. I have it narrow so it shows up well, but you can start answering questions and posting videos, and people can, you know, watch them and spend time with you, educating, answering questions, so people get to know actually who you are. So you're not viewed so much necessarily as a commodity, and that's what we do here at Vyral. Why don't you tell us how you use video in your business to help get more business?
Yeah. You know, right now I'm using Vyral from the recruiting side, right? You know, and but the bottom line is, like, when you looked at that example, I think that was Brett Jennings, I think is who that was. When you look at that example, that looks so damn professional, right? Like that just looked really clean. It looked like he's an information.
That was the mobile version. Let me see if I can give you the desktop version. Yeah, here. Let's take one more quick look.
Yeah.
You guys might have to zoom in. I
can see it very well. You know, but it just looks, I mean, look at that video there. I mean, that just, it fits a multi-channel approach. Like, you know, if I'm going to send them a sold report or a market activity report, that's kind of like a CMA, right? That's data, just a bunch of data. And that's important. It has its place and it's significant to people. And then you've got this video that humanizes us now. It brings us to life. It makes us like I think through video, like through the data, we connect. Through the video, we connect at a more intimate level. And I think that there's a need for all of that. I mean, we need to connect, but we also need to create relationships. And, you know, look, for most of the people on this call, you know, I say, gosh, we could create relationships through video. We think at our age, and I don't know what everyone's age is, but probably over the age of 14, if you're listening to this video here or this podcast. The reality is people are connecting every day through video. They're actually striking up relationships with video. Just look at your kids. And then, because we can all look at our kids and say, oh man, our kids are on this video and they've got these connections. I mean, people are watching people play video games.
Greg, I go to the toy store. It's YouTube stars on the toys at the toy store.
Oh, yes, I love it. It's fantastic. I watch my kids. They're watching their friends play a video game. And I catch that and I'm like, okay, let me get this straight. My kids are watching someone else playing video games instead of playing video games themselves. That's a new form of developing a relationship. Now, we can pick on our kids and say, that's crazy. The reality is we as adults are doing the same damn thing. We just don't want to admit it. And we need to go ahead and send these videos out there so we can intimately connect with people. People can see what we're up to, see what we look like. They're not judging how we look, but when they see us, they connect a little bit deeper to us. So I think we still have the same rules, you know, for the type of content that we want to put out. We want to make sure that we deliver value, but the importance of using video as an additional channel is because the video, that channel allows you to do something that you can't do with just content typed words on an email. And I think both are equally important, but combined together is where you really make a difference and you really start getting traction in your database.
That's good. I'll share with the audience, those of you just petrified of getting started with video or you don't have any money to get started. A really cool service that you can go download right now is called Loom, and I'll put it here for you. And it allows you just to it's a little add-in for Gmail where you can send off a little video email at no charge, and it'll get you comfortable sending out some videos of people one-to-one right from your webcam. And then from there, you can start upgrading to like video equipment and other add-ins, other services, or hiring a professional firm like Vyral to help you. That's what I'd recommend where you guys get started if you think video is a good way to connect.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Frank, because a lot of them are probably thinking, like, how do I get started? What do I say and all that? So when people hire Vyral,
Yeah.
you give them ideas and ideas on content how to structure it, correct?
Yeah, there's really two big unique propositions of Vyral. First is what we're known for is once the video is shot and once it's recorded, we'll edit it, we'll optimize it, we'll promote it, we'll put on your blog, we'll Facebook advertise it, we'll email it out, we even put on a postcard to go out. That's all on our website.
Sure.
But the real distinct advantage is you have to feel comfortable on video, and the way you get that done is by interviewing somebody. So we've been speaking for almost 45 minutes. Jeff, if I asked you to make a 45-minute video, no. Greg, if I asked you to make a 45-minute video, maybe, but you're at the top of your game.
But it's really hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But how easy was this where we just had a conversation? Right?
Having a conversation is so much easier than just going, okay, I'm going to create this video.
Correct. So what we do is we schedule a time with our clients on something like this and just talk to you. And then we edit ourselves out. And now you have a very personal video. That's the easiest way to get someone started.
So you help them out, have an interview, go over a topic, talk about it, cut out the bad stuff, keep the good stuff, and then help them package it.
Vyral is the
you also market it out to all their channels too.
Yeah.
What was it?
We're the personal trainer of marketing. Go to the gym by yourself, but if you want to hire a trainer, we're here.
Which is a good thing, because if you just go by the gym by yourself, you're probably not going to do things correctly, and you're probably not going to do it as intensely either. Or you're going to give up after a week or two.
Yep. So I posted a little bit earlier. There's two things I posted in the chat. I want to give a little tip to everyone. First is I posted a link to maybe 24 topics. Let me show you guys something. If you wanted to come up with some ideas of what you should publish for your videos, the best idea is just listening on the phone, talking to people, and answering what questions people are asking on the phone. That's by far the best. I mean, Greg, do you have anything you want to say on that as far as your content ideas?
I mean, that's the consumers, the ones that should inspire us in the content that we create. No question.
So let me see here if I could type in, So what I'm going to do here is the other option, if that's a little bit much, you can just go to YouTube. I'm on YouTube right now. There we are live at the very top, Greg.
There's Greg.
Let's type in sell your home, right? So everyone take a look at this. What I did is I just typed using Google autocomplete. This is what people are searching for. Those are the topics of your videos. Let's type in real estate agent. It's kind of funny. The only people searching for real estate agents are real estate agents.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Home loan. Look at that. Home loan in Bangladesh, Greg. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. But as you can see there, just using the Google autocomplete with a phrase will give you some really great ideas as far as maybe some topic ideas. And I posted 24 of them that are really good up in the chat for everybody with a link where you can download that. We sell that for $10 on our website, so it's free to everyone. All right. And one more little tip I want to add, just because this is kind of my game. One of the things that we love doing, Jeff, with Real Geeks customers is taking all their archives. So they've been Real Geeks customers for a while. They'll have these archives. And we'll, because some of those emails might be, sometimes they use fake emails to opt in, and some of them have been really scrubbed for a while.
Sure.
We'll run them through a service, and anyone here can do this through, what is it, Greg?
Never Bounce?
Never Bounce, correct. Let me show everyone really quick. So you guys have ever tried to send emails out, but you get flagged for spam because the emails are bad? This is a service you can upload a CSV file to. It's like $50 for 10,000. It's not very expensive. It'll basically guarantee that all your emails get delivered when you scrub them this way. It's really good when you want to scrub your archive list. And then here's
I would suggest you do that too before you put them in the Real Geeks CRM. Start emailing them too. Well, otherwise you're going to get flagged.
Well, let me show the audience that again. I mean, this is becoming more and more and more important. Is before you ever do any email marketing to like some list, however you got it. Ideally, it's permission based, but some list. Make sure you scrub it. And there's lots of services. Never Bounce is a good one. Bulk email list verification. All right. But here's what we love doing is just sending out a little reconnect email that basically says you're still in real estate and are you still interested in buying or selling a home? That's it. And you get lots of good replies. You get some engagements, and people are just ecstatic when one or two people reply back saying, "Yeah, I want to sell. Let's talk." Hey, right?
It's a numbers game. It'll happen.
That's a cool little tip. That's not very much money that anyone can walk away from this hangout and do today.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are there a few questions there, Frank?
Yeah, let's find out.
Probably a lot.
How do I watch this from the beginning? Good question. This will be recorded.
It's going to be recorded. Goodness. It'll be on our YouTube channel. You can go click on the link from the email, and it'll take you right to the recording. So, and we'll also be sending out an email to everybody that we notified about this as well.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if I got to go ahead and ask you questions, guys. Oh my goodness, Jeff. I'm going to mute out real quick. Just real quick. You got a 5-alarm fire going on behind you. What else do you guys want to know? I guess here's an interesting question. Somebody signed up on the Real Geek site, Jeff, and they're actively losing the site. I'm assuming you can see when they're logging in, but you just can't get a hold of them. Any thoughts on that? You just move on?
I mean, so if they signed up with the real email address, the Real Geek CRM will pull in their social media stuff, and then you could click on the Facebook, try and friend them, send them a message. All their social media stuff will come up. And if you're just not getting a hold of them, you know, some of them you're just not going to get a hold of. It's a numbers game, you know. I don't know what to tell you. Move on.
I can give you one little scenario. I mean, this only works for people that have an iPhone. Okay, it's not an Android. Only works if you have an iPhone. But you know, if you have an iPhone, you can put the email address in your text, and you can send them a text. And if they have an iPhone, it'll be delivered by iMessage. There's a high percentage of the people that we're getting emails for that you don't have a cell phone number, but if you'll text the email address, assuming you have an iPhone, you're actually going to get a text back because it transmitted through the iMessage.
Yeah, the same thing with recording a video. Just take your iPhone, maybe you put their email address in, and you can record a little video saying that you want to help them out. Just a little.
So that'll text it to them through the iMessage.
But it texts the video.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Okay.
So
I didn't even know that. So
that's a great way. A great way to you're not going to get it all the time, but there'll be a good percentage will be delivered.
Oh, here's a great.
Okay, and just one thing. Sometimes they've signed up. They're still in the discovery period, and if you see them still using the website, you can keep trying. But you know, if they're using the website, a lot of those people later on come back and identify themselves. But go ahead, Frank.
Yeah.
Go.
Here's a great question, because I think we have two types of email lists. You have permission-based email lists, which is what Real Geeks has when people opt in, and people you talk to on the phone that give you permission to stay in touch and do whatever you want, have fun. Broadcast email, there's permission there, you're all good. But what a lot of people will do is say, well, I'm going to go purchase an email list. Okay, so let's make sure we draw a very fine line between a permission-based list and a purchase list. Now, it doesn't have to be purchase. It can be maybe you come across one or you compile one. Here's a great example. I got a school directory for my daughter's school with emails. I also have seen HOA documents pop up, country club documents pop up. What is the best way to engage with this list? I got a couple thoughts, but I'd love to hear Greg.
I would definitely. Oh, let me just go real quick, because I don't want them just throwing those lists in Real Geek.
That's
what run them through the never bounce and go throw them in. What is it? MailChimp. Send them something. See if the ones that don't bounce, and then put them in Real Geeks. Anyways,
great.
Go.
So
Greg.
So everyone, that's what not to do. Greg,
yes.
What should we do?
I think you should. That list is worthless, in my opinion. I don't think we should do anything with that list. That's the reality. We would just be spamming everybody on that list. It's the only thing you could do is spam them. So let's call it what it is. And so now if you're saying, well, okay, yes, I want to spam them. What's the best way to spam them? I don't have any coaching on that one. But the reality is it's 100% spam. And so the return on it, if you do it, the return on it is going to be very, very low. And the cost that it could have on your reputation in your marketplace within that one particular list, I think the costs the risks are way more than the benefits. I don't know,
I wouldn't email them or spam them in any way. Now, here's what you can do. You can take those lists, the phone number list and the email, load them up into Facebook. And
I don't know why I didn't think about that. That's exactly.
I didn't think about it initially, but when you started talking,
I got one more.
So
Yeah.
so I would go through Facebook and then use Facebook marketing, some targeted marketing to those audiences like Greg does. But that's not spam. That's just showing up.
Yeah.
But people hate the email spam when they haven't been put on a list or gotten permission on a list. You start emailing them, they get pissed off.
Okay.
I get pissed off.
This is heated. I like this. All right. So Greg has his thoughts. Jeff, obviously, yes, custom audience. I have thoughts. Are you guys
Okay,
ready?
let's hear 'em.
All right. So I love these lists. All right. I love them because you don't have to go to them directly saying and spamming them that you're in real estate. You email them personally to invite them to events. All right. So follow me on this. Is one of the options that you can have. And again, if you're looking this in terms of like mass broadcast, no, you can't do it. Don't load them email marketing program. But these lists are usually a couple hundred people. There's nothing wrong with writing an email saying, hey, I'm in the school, all right, or here's kind of how I ethically came up with your name. I'm just reaching out as a neighbor. I'm entering out as a member. I'm reaching out as someone, just letting you know I'm looking to put a community event together. To this date and this time, want to know if you're interested in coming. Here's all the details. And sending out little invites like that, we do this all the time with realtors that we like as clients that we don't know, is we start with little invites to dinners and to events. And that brings people together. And then from the event, you bring them into your Met list, into your database.
A dinner or event might work, but I know for a fact that we belong to, pretty exclusive public school area neighborhood in here. And there's a few realtors that have been sending emails to my wife and some of her friends.
Yeah,
they're blackballing them. Trust me, they're blackballing them because they're abusing that list.
Yeah, but they're probably coming at you as trying to sell you real estate, and here's a bunch of real estate stuff.
Newsletters or whatever. They're putting them on a newsletter. You
want to just come with an invite to an event. That's my only. But the answer is, how do you work that list of all little nuances? That's my one little way of maybe possibly you can make that happen.
And you could do that also through Facebook too and Instagram. Yeah. I mean, I pretty much, if they're not on Facebook, they're probably on Instagram.
Let me share one little more tip with the audience. Let's say you guys have a database of a bunch of mailing addresses who you have permission with, and you want to append some emails. Tower Data is pretty good. There's lots of good email append services, but if you have a lot of past clients, centers of influence, people that you've worked with that you have their mailing addresses because you help them buy or sell a home, but you don't necessarily have their email, you can upload that list to Tower. And the match rates aren't as great, but it's something. But as long as you have the postal address and the names, you can usually append some email addresses to so you can communicate with people that way. So that's kind of a cool little tip.
All right, great. So you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, Greg, thanks, dude.
Yeah, I'd like to thank both Greg and Frank. They're both database experts, and they both love contributing. And I love getting on with these guys and, talking about these things and trying to help you all. So we'll see you next time. Bye now.
Absolutely. See you guys.
Take care.